All right, and we are now live. Students and families, we want to thank you so much for being here today. As you're signing on this Sunday afternoon, thanks for taking the time. We know that you have a lot of different options about how you spend your afternoons on a Sunday, and we're glad that you're here to speak with Xavier University. So just as a couple of quick footnotes, a couple of quick logistical pieces, my name is Christine Holliday. I'm a college advisor at St. Joseph's Academy in St. Louis, Missouri. And on behalf of MOACAC and StriveScan, we're really glad that you're here. So two things. One, there's a Q&A function that you can use at any time throughout the presentation to ask specific questions of our presenters. You don't have to wait until the very end to do so. We want you to get out of this session what you're here for. Your camera and your microphone are going to remain off throughout the course of the entire presentation, so panelists will not be able to see or hear you. This is one of the very many sessions that's happening this week and in next week as well. Please be sure to check out the full schedule at moacac.org. Additionally and finally, this presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that exact same website, moacac.org. With that said, I'm going to turn things over to Tim Wilms from Xavier University. Have a great presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. Really appreciate it. As was mentioned, my name is Tim Wilms. I am your admission counselor for the state of Missouri. I am a Xavier grad from the class of 2014, and I'm also from the St. Louis area. So it's really great getting a chance to work with our St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbia, Springfield, et cetera, students, throughout this process and help you find your right fit. And obviously for us, we're hoping that fit is Xavier University. So what we're going to do today is I'll do a brief presentation, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, just some basic information about Xavier. And then we have somebody here from financial aid. Her name is Krista Warner. So she'll talk a little bit about financial aid. And then we actually have a current student here as well. His name is John Zink. He is from Marquette High School. So I don't want to introduce him too much because he'll give you his Xavier introduction and everything as well, and talk to you a bit about his current experience at Xavier. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll share my screen here, and we'll get going with the presentation. All right. So first things first, so Xavier University, we are a private Jesuit-Catholic university founded in, well, first of all, John, can you give me a thumbs up? How's it looking? Look okay? Okay, we good to go? Okay, cool. So Xavier University, we're a private Jesuit-Catholic university in Cincinnati, Ohio. So we are the 4th oldest Jesuit university in the nation, 6th oldest Catholic university in the nation. And the way that I would describe us is we are a smaller end of a medium-sized school. So we're a school of about 4,900 undergraduate individuals. So you get kind of the best of both worlds here at Xavier. You get the big school feel in the sense that we are a Division I school. We're in the Big East Conference. People know us all over the country for our great academics, the Jesuit approach to education, as well as the basketball. You can see it right behind me here, our Cintas Center. I was just there earlier today. And so that's one of the really great things about Xavier. You combine all that great big school stuff with a smaller campus community atmosphere, a really personal attention inside and outside the classroom. It's the kind of place where you're going to get to know your professors, you'll get to know the people around you. And we are just about 5 minutes north of downtown Cincinnati. So that's one of the really great things is you're in your own campus community. Everything's really walkable, everything's right there for you. But then you can also hop downtown whenever you need to as well, whether that be for an internship opportunity, a job opportunity, or just for something really fun, especially on a day like today, fall afternoon, where you can go walk around downtown, enjoy the many great things going on in the city of Cincinnati. So our mantra is all for one. And that comes from our musketeer mascot, all for one and one for all. So one of the focuses for us here at Xavier is we want to make sure we take care of our students, and that comes from a Jesuit term that we call cura personalis, and that is care for the individual or care for the whole person. So it's a holistic approach to education where we don't just want you to go in and get your degree and then get out in 4 years, but really we want you to excel in everything you're doing in the classroom, but outside of the classroom as well, right? We have our students take a variety of core classes to pair with their major, to help them in the discernment process, to give them a wider array of knowledge going into the working world. But we also want to make sure that our students are taken care of while they're at school as well. And so whether it's faculty or staff to student, or even student to student, something John could attest to, we're looking out for one another at Xavier University. And so we really take that all for one mantra seriously, as well as that cura personalis focus seriously as well. So some highlights from our freshman class from this last year. You'll see some of our first year students who are currently at Xavier. Those are some of their admission pictures when they were coming in last year. We actually have 2 St. Louisans in this in these photos, so really loved working with them last year. Typically around 63% of our students do come from outside the state of Ohio. Obviously, this last year with the pandemic, and especially right at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, we did see a lot of folks stay a little bit closer to home this year, with the 55% of our students coming from outside Ohio. But one of the things really to make sure you know is that this isn't just a school where there's folks coming from Indiana or Ohio or Kentucky, but we have students coming from all over the country, including Missouri. So that's one of the really great things, that we have students represented from usually 47 or 48 different states of the 50 that are represented, obviously, and folks from around the world as well. So that's one of the things that I think is a trademark of a Xavier education, is you'll get to know people from all over. You'll be challenged with different ideas in that Jesuit approach to critically thinking about the world around us and expanding our horizons. And one of the ways to do that is to get to know the people around you and the people in your classes. One of my favorite stats here is typically around 40% of our students are the only ones to come from their high school. I know for me, that was true about 10 years ago when I started at Xavier. I only knew 2 other people coming from the St. Louis area. Now, since then, the St. Louis area for us has grown a little bit, but I say that just to say that, you know, whether you know a lot of people coming from your high school or nobody at all coming from your high school, you're going to find a home here. And this is a very mission-driven place. And so that's one of the great things, is if a student is really connected with Xavier, it typically doesn't matter a whole lot whether they know a lot of people going to Xavier or not, you know, because this is such a mission-driven place and we have such an amazing campus community and amazing opportunities. This is a great fit for a lot of students, wherever they're coming from, wherever they want to go. And one of the ways we really help our students get adjusted to life at Xavier, maybe if they don't know a whole lot of people coming from, let's say, Missouri, is through a great orientation program called Manresa. And John actually participated in that this last year as a leader, so he might address that when he has a chance to speak here. I also was a Manresa leader, so the idea is to make sure that when our students move in the Thursday before classes start on that Monday, that we don't just help you find where you want to go or where you need to go for classes to pick up your books, but the idea is to welcome you onto the campus community. And I think that's a word, as you get to know Xavier a lot more, you're going to hear the word community over and over and over again, as John and Krista can attest to. So a little bit about academics at Xavier. I mentioned already, we are a Jesuit liberal arts focused of education, where you pair your major with your core classes. So there are 90 majors and 60 minors, and 5 distinct honors programs as well. One of the things I haven't mentioned is we do have a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio and an average class size of about 20 or 21. So whatever class that you're in, whatever major you choose, that's one of the really great things. If you're a business student or a psychology student or what have you, you're going to have smaller size classes where your professors are really going to get to interact with you. There are no big lecture halls. All of our classes at the undergraduate level, they're all taught by professors. You're going to be working with professors. There are teaching assistant, graduate assistants for some of the labs you might experience if you are more on the biology side, chemistry side. But you're really going to get a great transition from high school to college because you're going to have that personal interaction in the classroom. I'll run through our 5 honors programs just real quick. One of them is called University Scholars. It's where you pair your major with honors classes. So all of those core classes that you would have would be honors classes, and then you could be, biomedical sciences major, a communications major, etc. The other 4 are major specific. So one of them is for the business school. We have a really great business school at Xavier. And so we have a great honors program where you pair business issues and present day business issues with the humanities and kind of a focus on philosophy and ethics. So it's a really cool program. I myself was a marketing and theology double major when I was at Xavier. So if I had had that opportunity 10 years ago to jump into that program, I would have been all over it. We do have a couple Missouri students who are currently in that Smith Scholars Program, and it's a few years old. So they kicked off that new program by having a couple Missouri students in it. So very excited about that. One of our other programs is Classics HAB. So it's a focus on classics, Latin, Greek, philosophy, all that kind of stuff. Another one is new this year. It's called Data Science. So it's a focus in computer science with something we really excel in, paired with something else we really excel in, which is data analytics. And so that's a new program this year for anybody who's interested in data and computer science. And then finally, one of our trademark programs at the university is Philosophy, Politics, and the Public, or PPP for short. And the two requirements there are you work on a political campaign when you're here in Cincinnati. It's a political science comparative government program. And then the other thing you would do for the comparative government side is do a study abroad trip. So I'll touch real briefly on study abroad. About a third of our students do study abroad in one way or another. And the great part is, this is a great example for that program. Any semester long study abroad that you're doing at Xavier, you get the same financial aid and scholarships there that you would get at Xavier. So real briefly as well, I mentioned the all for one mentality, the cura personalis focus. And one way we do that, as you see on the bottom right-hand corner there, is through our student success team. So every single one of our students has an academic advisor to help them plan their schedule, take the right classes. You have a student success coach to help you with that transition from high school to college. You'll have a career coach in whatever field you're looking to get into to make sure that you're looking for jobs, internships, and they'll help you connect with all those opportunities, not just in Cincinnati or in Ohio, but back home, somewhere in Missouri, or if you want to go to one of the coasts, you want to go to California or New York, let's say, we have amazing mentorship programs that help make connections for our students there. And then last but not least, every student gets a financial aid counselor to work with them as well. Krista will be talking here pretty soon about the financial aid's role, working with our students throughout their time here at Xavier. And then on the bottom left-hand side, you'll see that all of these commitments to our students throughout the 4 years, students going and getting involved, finding internships, working with their professors, it leads to a 98% success rate. So what that says, within 6 months of graduation, 98% of our students are working full-time, they're pursuing graduate studies, and then 2% of the 98% are doing a year of service. So that could be alum service corps, Jesuit volunteer corps, the Army Corps, things like that. So that's something that we are certainly very, very proud of. Additionally to that, for anybody who's interested in the sciences, it wasn't on the slide, but last year's class had a 92% acceptance rate into medical school, which is pretty amazing considering that the national average is 40 to 42%. So that's something certainly that we're really proud of as well. So this is something that John could speak to, since he is a very involved person on campus, which is why we brought him in to talk to you guys here today, here in a little bit. But this is kind of a main look at the green space or the Xavier Yard here at Xavier. So one of the things I always like to say is, if you're looking for a place that you can feel connected to the people around you, feel like you're making a difference on campus, feel like you're invested in your university, Xavier is a tremendous place for you to be. There's 170 plus clubs and organizations, as you can see. 64% of our students have a leadership role by the time that they graduate. Having been a product of the Xavier education, or a Xavier education rather, this is something that I'm really passionate about. Is there's always a fit for our students to come in, get involved. We always talk about the Xavier rule of 3, which is for our first year students, we want you to get involved in something you did in high school, to continue that great tradition from high school to college, and have something that you're comfortable with, that you know about, that you're passionate about. Get involved in something. Thing number 2, get involved in something academic related. So If you are in the sciences, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to connect with peers in the science fields here on campus. We have great academic fraternities and sororities, including the business fraternity here at Xavier. There's also things like mock trial and things like that if you're looking for like a pre-law focus. And then thing number 3 is get involved in something you've never done before. And so a lot of our students take that to heart. I had a student a few years ago from the St. Louis area who had never done fencing before, but now he is one of the leaders in the club fencing team, just because he said, hey, they told me to get involved in something I've never done before, and now he's really loving it. And it's just kind of a fun, unique way that he's getting involved on campus. And the picture that you see here is our green space area, like I said, but every first week of classes each year, we have a club day on the yard, club day on the Xavier yard, where all 170 plus clubs and organizations are out there. They're in the middle of that Xavier yard. And it's so easy for a first year student to come in, sign up for a bunch of different things and meet a lot of people doing it, but also feeling like, okay, cool, I'm getting involved already. I'm feeling like a part of this place already. So that's one of the really great things about being at Xavier. As far as campus life goes, you see there in the bottom right-hand corner, the students wearing masks. So this is actually a little refreshing, getting to do a presentation without a mask today, which is pretty great. But one of the big things we want to make sure we tell you for sure is we obviously are doing everything we can to take care of our students. I think John and Krista would say this as well, that our students, I've been very impressed, have been taking it really seriously. They've been really responsible with wearing their masks at all time. Right now we are doing a hybrid model of education. So there are some classes that a student might Zoom in for, and then 2 out of the 3 class days of a given week, they would go in and be in a classroom of 15 instead of a typical classroom of 27 or 28. So one of the great things for me that's been really encouraging is, even though this is such a different year, all those great things that we typically talk about with a Xavier education or a Xavier experience of, hey, go in and get involved, meet people. I think our students have done a great job of continuing that tradition, but just in a different way and in a responsible way. So a good example of this is that typically all 170 plus clubs and organizations are out in the Xavier yard for that first week of classes. We still did that this year, except we did it over a 3-day process. And we kind of expanded it out so that we could keep everybody socially distant and safe as well. So one of the things that's really great about Xavier too, I mentioned we're a Big East school. We're a D1 school, and a lot of folks know us for that bottom right, left-hand corner, excuse me, our Centos Center, our basketball program. We have 18 Division I men's and women's programs. The big thing we want you to know, you get free tickets to all the games, whether that's basketball, volleyball, soccer, what have you. Or as parents like to remind us, already paid for tickets for our students, right? But going along with that campus life theme, 90% of our students are residential. We are not a commuter student or a commuter campus. We do have about 10% of our students, obviously being commuter students living in the greater Cincinnati area. But for the most part, all of our students are here. They're on campus, which means that there's always something going on during the day, during the weekend. And then it's also awesome. It's always an awesome time to get down to Cincinnati, just 5 or 10 minutes away, hop in an Uber. But we also shuttle students down all the time for big events happening in the Cincinnati area. One of my favorite stats is Cincinnati is home to the world's 2nd biggest Oktoberfest. So that would have happened last weekend. Unfortunately, obviously, that couldn't happen this year. But typically, we'd bus all our students down there to enjoy the festivities. Similarly, with the Bengals are playing right now. The Reds are right downtown, FC Cincinnati as well. So any sporting events, you get discount tickets a lot of the time. Or the fun things like the Jonas Brothers were in town last year, and students got $15 tickets, and then they all got bused down to the venue that they were performing at. So fun things like that. We get our students connected with the downtown area a lot as well. All right, so this will be my final slide here for the day, and then we'll turn it over to Krista and to John. But this is your admission process for this year. For any seniors who are out there who are watching this right now, step one, we obviously want our students to visit campus. We are actually open for tours. So we've actually been doing tours since the summer started. We've been pretty happy with the way things have gone. And if you are able to visit sometime this fall, we will be giving tours probably right up until around the Thanksgiving mark. and you will go on a tour one-on-one with a student, and that could be the fabulous John Zink, since he works in our office, our admission office. So feel free to come and visit us in the fall. If you can't in the fall, we always have opportunities to visit for admitted seniors in the springtime. We also typically every year we would have event days in Kansas City and St. Louis. Still waiting to see if we can do that this year, obviously, but I'll talk about how to connect with us as we go throughout the process. One of the big updates that I'm sure a lot of folks are wondering about is we are a test optional school. That part is not an update. We've been test optional for the last couple of years. One of the big updates though is that just a few days ago we found out that we have a great nursing program, all new facilities over at nursing, occupational therapy, and nursing is now officially a test optional program, which we're really excited about. And our competitive scholarships are all test optional. Our honors program is all test optional this year, since we know that it's been really tough for our students to find opportunities to go and take those tests. So that's a top thing for you guys to know. One of the other things is we are on rolling admission. As probably starting next week, we'll start reading applications. And so if you can get your application in the next few weeks, we can typically turn that around and get you a decision in 3 or 4 weeks time as well. Since we are on rolling admission, you could apply in November, December, etc. But we do have a December 1st deadline, just so you know, to apply for nursing, honors, any of those competitive scholarships. And we also encourage our students to fill out the FAFSA and send that in to us by December 1 as well. You'll get a $500 early filer grant as part of that process if you submit your FAFSA by December 1st. Outside of that, once you get admitted, you are also considered for a merit-based scholarship. So that's outside of the competitive scholarships or outside of the need-based aid that you might be considered for through the FAFSA. So as soon as you get admitted, you also get a packet in the mail saying what kind of scholarship, academic scholarship you earned per year for 4 years. So last year that ranged from $16,000 to $24,000. I think it's going to be pretty similar this year. We're waiting on the final scholarship number information. And then once you get admitted as well, you're also into the Road to Xavier online community. And that's a great way to keep up with what's happening on campus. Say we are doing a St. Louis or a Kansas City Muskies on the Road event this spring. That's where you would sign up for one of those events where you can meet alumni, you can meet other students in your area. And then the other really cool feature is you can also connect with people who have been admitted to Xavier from Missouri, but also all around the country as well. So just keep up to date with what's going on. If you are applying and you do get admitted to Xavier, I'm your admission counselor, so I'm the one reading your application, and I'm the one working with you throughout this process. So let me know how I can help. We'll get to question. I've seen a few questions come in, so we'll answer those here at the end of our session. And then the final thing is May 1st is the commitment day every single year to let colleges and universities know where you're going to be headed. So for us, it's a $500 deposit. You get that towards your first tuition payment, but it's just our way of, it's our way of knowing whether you're going to be joining us in, for our seniors, the class of 2025. So I'll end that here. I'll stop the share and wanted to send this over to Krista Warner. If anybody has any questions about financial aid, Krista can answer those questions. But Krista, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about financial aid's role in the process, maybe for admission, but also more about the process of working with financial aid throughout our students' 4 years here at Xavier.
Sure. Thank you, Tim. Now, so in addition to the merit scholarship that Tim touched base on, all students who fill out a FAFSA, you will qualify for federal loans. And based upon the family's EFC and financial need, there may be additional federal grants that you may qualify for. Typically, there is a gap between your award, financial aid award, and then the tuition charges, room and board charges. Those can be filled by either doing a private loan, a Parent Plus loan, or also applying for scholarships. You know, over the next few months, it is your job to really go out and look for scholarships that are available to the local community. Xavier does offer additional scholarships once you are a student here for the sophomore year. But the first year, it's pretty much on the students and families to meet that gap, either through loans, payment plans, or other scholarship awards. There are grants that are available. The TRIO grant is for first-generation students. So if you're a first-time college student, if your parents do not have a bachelor's degree, you would qualify for that. There's an application process, simple application, and those are grant funds that you can receive typically in the spring semester of your freshman year, and then you're continuing the other 3 years. There are requirements you have to meet to have those funds, but typically it's usually meetings, workshops, things that help build your resume. So it's to your advantage to take advantage of that. Another opportunity for reducing some costs would be if you want to be an RA your sophomore year. That would cover your room and board. Now it is competitive. It is a job, but it's worth it. Typically the room and board is about $13,000 a year. So that could help reduce some of your cost. Let's see. If sometimes students may struggle academically, if a student would fall below, not meet the SAP requirements, it's a minimum 2.0 GPA and 67% completion rate. There's an appeal process. We don't cut students off. We would just have you get on an academic plan, and we would help you through that along with your success coach. So we're not just letting you hang out there. We want students to complete their degree at Xavier. Like Tim said, there's a financial aid counselor. We break the alphabet down by population. When you have questions, you can either email us, email the office, the main address. I'll give it to you. And then those emails are forwarded to the appropriate counselors. And we can set up meetings. Right now we're doing Zoom or phone meetings. So, we are available. Let's see. I'm just going to give you our Xavier Financial Aid email address. It's XU, F as in Frank, I as in N as in Nancy, AID as in dog, at xavier.edu. It's still sort of early in the process to be contacting us because your admissions counselor is sort of the go-between at this point. Once you deposit in May, then when the transition comes to us. But we are happy to answer any questions you may have. If you and your parents think of things, if you can ask them today, or if you want to send the questions to the Xavier Aid email address, we were happy to help you. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Krista. We'll turn this over to John Zink, who is a current junior at Xavier. And then afterwards we'll do a Q&A. I've been answering some questions kind of directly to you here, but also happy to answer any questions. Maybe if you have a specific financial aid question or a question about what it's like to be a student. So we'll do that here in a couple minutes. But John, why don't you tell folks who you are and where you're from? Well, I kind of spoiled that, but maybe your transition process coming from St. Louis to going to Xavier, and then maybe what it's like, what it's like to be a student at Xavier, and maybe your favorite part about being a Xavier student. So I'm throwing a lot at you, but
hopefully I can handle it all right.
You'll be great.
Right. Thank you very much again. Okay, so like Tim said, my name is John Zink. I'm currently a junior going into my third year here at Xavier. I'm currently studying health services administration, and I have a minor in business. And like he said earlier, from St. Louis, Chesterfield specifically, and I went to Marquette High School. So for those of you from the St. Louis area, you probably know a lot about me already just based on that. So that's wonderful. And then talking about how I ended up at Xavier. So when I was applying, in your same shoes now, applying to schools my senior year and junior year of high school, I applied to a very diverse group of schools because I didn't really know what I wanted yet, because neither of my parents, I wasn't looking to go down the same path that either of them did in terms of their schooling. So I really had the whole world at my choice in terms of where I was going to end up. So I ended up applying to a lot of smaller schools, a lot of bigger state schools and stuff like that. And through touring all of those, Xavier ended up being a really great mix for me, coming from a large public school, of a school where obviously I could have some autonomy as an individual student, but at the same time, I could feel really connected to the community at Xavier. Like he said, community just gets brought up endlessly when talking about this school. So I hope you all are ready to hear that for the next couple of years if you're interested here at Xavier. So when I toured the campus, I really just could see myself going there, and it seemed like it was something I could really fit into. And it just seemed like, coming from a public school especially, it seems like there's some type of stigma between people that go here that, oh, maybe it's only a school for kids that went to private school in high school. But I definitely don't think that's true. I don't agree with that. I thought my transition went really well. And Tim talked about earlier that Manresa orientation program. Like I said, I was involved in that program as a leader this year. I think that's a really incredible way, compared to some other schools around the country, of getting kids ready and transitioning them into their first year at Xavier. I think having that orientation program right before you go into your classes is a great way to initially make some friends, make some connections, get to know upperclassmen, for example. So I hope, if you are interested in Xavier, that you look forward to that, because I think that's something really wonderful that the school does. So in terms of some of my favorite aspects of Xavier as a school, so I can begin by saying the faculty to student ratio that Tim talked about earlier. I think that's just one of the biggest selling points of this school, and one of the reasons why I deferred to choose here besides like a school, like a bigger state school that has lectures of over 150 kids, for example. I really wasn't looking forward to that aspect of college, and when I heard that Xavier didn't offer that, I was really excited, because getting to know my professors obviously is a really great perk. Just this year, I have an internship already lined up for next summer at Cincinnati Children's through a professor that I've been in close contact with for the last couple of years. So that's the type of opportunities that you can find here at Xavier through the professors. It's nice to have professors that know your name going into the second or third week of school. It's nice to have professors who really care if you're doing well or not, and are willing to support you if you're not doing as well in their classes as you would hope. So that's something that I really love about this school, and I'm forever grateful of my professors that I've had here so far. And then I can speak a little bit about the involvement that I have on this campus. So like Tim said, as a Manresa orientation leader, I'm also a tour guide on campus. So I saw that question on the Q&A. There are a lot of jobs available on campus. Tour guide is one of the ones that I elected to end up in. And they use Handshake, which is a website that helps you find jobs on campus, off campus, but it's basically just a job placement website throughout Xavier and in the community. And that made it really easy for me to find this job. And I applied through Handshake, and I got the job within a couple weeks of applying. So that made that really easy. And then obviously with some other involvements, I'm the community service chair for club soccer. So club soccer was something I did in high school, something I wanted to continue here. So that made it really easy for me, and I got involved right away. That was a wonderful thing that helped in my transition to Xavier. And then also just this year, I actually started a club. So with the 170 clubs already here on campus, there are obviously a ton of great opportunities to get involved and find new interests, continue interests you've had before. But at the same time, through the Office of Student Involvement, they make it really easy if you have a passion that maybe isn't as developed on campus yet, and maybe there's a gap in terms of something that you like to do. They make it super easy for you to get involved and start that yourself. I think the process for me, from going from the idea of, oh, I want to start this club here, to having that conditional club status, was maybe 3 to 4 weeks. They worked with me every step of the way to get that involved, like get me involved in that process. And now it's something that I'm able to pursue for my last 2 years of school. I'm really excited to do that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think I've just about covered it. Hopefully I've reached every question that you threw at me at once, Tim, but if there's anything
I know, I'm sorry about that. I was just so excited for you to speak to that. And then what was the club that you started? Maybe I missed that.
Okay. So the club I started was called Sneakers with Soul, and it was a nonprofit I worked for back in St. Louis through my church. So basically we work with Adidas, and we purchase wholesale shoes at a discounted rate. And then we're currently hoping to work with the Norwood School District, which is the community K through 12 school district in the area, to get those shoes distributed to kids in need before the new school year. So hopefully we can collect those shoes and get some fundraising by this year, and then be able to donate those out before next school year for some families in need in the community. So yeah.
That's awesome, John.
Thank
Very
you.
cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. Really appreciate it. And thanks for all the great work you do. And all that other mushy stuff.
Of course.
So I think this is a great time. We have about 10 minutes left. And I know we have about 10 folks who are here with us. So thank you so much for being here. What I'd like to do is just do kind of a Q&A. So if you want to type some more questions into the question and answer, I know I've sent some things to individual folks, but one of the ones that I wanted to start with was from Alexandra Tynes. So thanks for being here. And she was asking about how important is the essay in comparison to how important the ACT would be. So it's a great question. It's one of my favorite things to talk about with the admission process. So I mentioned earlier, if you are from Missouri and you go to high school in Missouri, I'm your admission counselor. So I'm also the one who reads your applications, which is a really fun time of the year. And for me, my favorite thing to do every single year with the applications is read the essay. So if you think about it, you know, maybe I'm lucky, for instance, I've worked with Alexandra when she came on campus over the summer and a few other times, but a lot of the times when students apply, we don't get to work with each other until maybe after you've been admitted. So if you think about it, when you're applying to Xavier's a school of about 4,900. We get about 15,000 applications every year. And of those 15,000, I myself probably read about 1,000 applications. And this is at a smaller, medium-sized school. So if you think about the application process, or when we're reading an application, we're looking at your GPA. If you submit a test score, we'll look at your test score. By the way, we do weighted GPA, and we will super score if you've sent in multiple scores. We'll look at what are you involved in. We'll read your letters of recommendation. But really the only time that we get to hear from you and hear who you are and what you're looking for just through the application process is through the essay. So I can't speak for any other school on how they read or anything like that, but at Xavier, one of the most important aspects of your application is the essay. And trust me when I say we read every word of your essay, and we take that part of it really seriously. So I'm not trying to put a bunch of pressure on you. What I'm trying to say is we are at the type of place where we really want to get to know our students to help them find the right fit. And if that fit is at Xavier, hey, that's even better, right? And I think a lot of the times we can identify, like John's a great example. When we worked together a few years ago, John, when you were starting to talk about, here's the stuff I'm looking for, I want to get involved, I'm looking for an active campus. And that's when I said, oh, well, this student would be a great fit, you know. And you can do the same thing when you're filling out your application and you're putting it together, your essay. And that's the only time that I get to hear your voice truly. And so that's just something to think about when you're filling out those applications and doing those essays. And then the simplistic way to do that is we take a holistic review of your application. So we're looking at everything that you send us and we're taking all of it into consideration. So I hope that helps. All right, great. Right on time. We got another question. Yes, so Alexander, so that's something maybe let's work on our own about applying with the ACT and essay. You can do both. You can fill out, you can choose to send in your ACT. You can choose not to send in your ACT. I think the best rule of thumb is whatever lets you put your best foot forward in the application process. So if that means that you're going to send in 4 ACTs, go ahead and do that. We'll put them all together and create a new super score for you. If you have a higher GPA and the ACT just isn't matching, then you don't have to send that in. The 5 things that, or I guess now the 4 things that we require as part of the process are your application on the Common App or our own Xavier app. It's totally free to apply. An essay is required. Your transcript is required for obvious reasons. And then at least 1 letter of recommendation is required. On top of that, if you'd like to send in your ACT, SAT, you can do that as well. So I hope that helps. All right. Okay, so what are you looking for in a student? I kind of just mentioned this, but we get really excited in the admission office, and this is something that Krista, you could probably speak to as well. When we're working with a student who, obviously, we love high-achieving students. High-achieving students in the classroom leads to a great transition into college, especially at Xavier, because we do challenge our students in the classroom. I also get really excited when I'm working with a student, kind of like I mentioned when I was working with John, where students who are involved, students who want leadership opportunities, but it doesn't always have to be the student who's mega involved. Okay, you're going to be a great fit at Xavier. I think we are looking for passionate, mission-driven people. And if that means that, you know, one day you're going to start your own club on campus that has to do with working with a nonprofit and giving back to the community, that's awesome. If that means you're going to be part of our Extreme Fans program where you go and set up before basketball games and you paint yourself blue, that's awesome. I think Xavier tends to be a place that a lot of people are passionate about, and we in turn attract students who are very passionate about their education or are very interested in using their own passions, their own gifts, their own talents to go make a difference back home in Missouri, or go make a difference in Cincinnati while they're here for their 4 years at Xavier. So I hope that helps. The easier answer for your when do you declare a major, you don't have to declare a specific major until second semester sophomore year. Awesome. Any final questions? Christine is, I think that's my music. Christine, can I ask John for a 30 seconds? John, in 30 seconds to a minute, why should a student from Missouri go to Xavier?
I just think Xavier is a school that really is what you make it to be. And with that in mind, when he said getting involved, it's so easy to get involved on campus, whether that's getting involved with a lot of things or just a few things that you're really passionate about. And for me, going six hours away, give or take, from home, I was really worried about whether or not I'd feel disconnected here. And it was almost scary how quickly this became home for me. And to very much sadness from my mother, this became home for me really quickly. So I believe that could be the same case for any of you all that are looking to come here. So that's my little soap opera speech.
And for any mothers who are on the call today, don't worry, you'll still see your student. Actually, one of our first year students, he went to Chaminade, and he's currently at Xavier. His mother is currently visiting him right now. So it's not too far away. You guys are always welcome on campus. And then Krista, any final, thank you for that, John. That was very moving. I started tearing up. And Krista, do you have any final words that you want to say as far as financial aid or anything in the whole process?
Well, I think more about the university itself. I mean,
Sure.
it is a community. And when Tim and John are saying it, we practice what we preach. And helping on move-in day, we see the parents dropping their students off, and it's our promise we will take care of them and we will get them through the 4 years. There's a support system for the students, and they are not traveling this alone. So have faith in us that we help them along the way. That's all.
Again, that was very beautiful. So thank you so much to you both for being here and working with our Missouri students. Just for my part, like I said, I'm your admission counselor. I'm a native St. Louisan, and I am so excited for things to kind of be normal again, so I can get back on the road and do this kind of thing with you all in person, wherever you're from or wherever you want to go. I truly hope that Xavier, is a place that you could see yourself. And like John said, it's the kind of place that it is what you make it, and you'll be surprised after 4 years all the amazing things that you'll experience here. And even better is after you graduate, all the amazing places you'll go. So that's my Dr. Seuss reference on this Sunday afternoon. But it's a special place. Let me know what questions you have, how I can help, and I'm looking forward to working with you throughout the next admission process. So that's all for me.
And with that, students, we want to say thank you for joining us. We want to say a big thank you to all three of our presenters, to John and to Krista and to Tim. Thank you for being here today to work with students. Students, when the session ends, you're going to actually receive a 4-question survey. We'd ask that you take a moment to fill that out so that as we build ongoing opportunities for you to do college knowledge learning over the next few months, that we may be getting you what you need. Additionally, this isn't the final session. The next few weeks are still going to be some additional sessions available for schools from all over the country. Please check out the full schedule at moacac.org. Additionally, if you missed part of today's session, or if perhaps your internet also flipped out for about 2 minutes, you can go back and watch that recording at some point later. And again, that will also be available on moacac.org. With that, again, I'll say thank you to our panelists and students. We're going to go ahead and we're going to end our recording. Thanks and bye-bye.